Okay, well, Duke Nelson was the athletic director when I was here in the 60s, and he was also the football coach. I think he's a Middlebury graduate, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. But he was also a character. He had a particular way of talking that students loved to imitate. He started most sentences with the word "but," so we used to call him Baduke, because he'd say, but a Carlson, but you got to hold on to the ball. And so he was near the end of his football coaching career and athletic directorship when I was here, and he was an easy guy to parody. Then he lived a long time in town after he retired, and he was a ubiquitous figure on campus. Everybody knew Duke Nelson, and now that old hockey rink that's been renovated is Duke Nelson Arena. That's where the hockey team played, won national championships. So I was a writer for the campus. I was a sports editor for a couple of years, and Duke Nelson was my beat. And there was a boy in my class named Barnes Boffey. His son Adam came here. Barnes Boffey was 6'8", and he weighed close to 300 pounds. And he was a theater major. He had gone to Williston, Northampton or something, one of those prep schools, and played soccer. So he never played football, even though he was that enormous. But in his junior year, he decided to go out for football. It turned out he wasn't too bad because he was so big. And so I went down to interview Duke, and he told me this story, that he had sent for the very first game of the year against Wesleyan, he had to send to the Wesleyan coach his team roster. And on his team roster, he listed a fellow named Barnes Boffey, which you have to admit is an unusual name, Barnes Boffey. And he had him listed at 6'8", 280 pounds, which is big even these days. Now, 45 years ago, it was even bigger. So he sent this roster down to Wesleyan, and the Wesleyan people called him up outraged because they felt he was playing a trick on them, a practical joke, that he couldn't possibly have a junior on his team that was 6'8" and 280 pounds named Barnes Boffey. And then, as it turns out, it was the truth. So it's not a great story, but I thought it was a funny story at the time. And he would say to me, but Carl, you know, they didn't realize, but Barnes was a real guy. So that's my Duke Nelson story. Barnes Boffey is now he became a well-known educator, alcohol counselor, sent his son to Middlebury. He's still 6'8", but he's old now.